philosophers. I hope I will be capable to do, not to disappoint you. And so I'll talk a little bit about psychology of play. And in general, I will try to show you what psychologists study when play is concerned. We are, maybe you know, the psychology is very proud to be very exact science. So they really like to define all the things first. So for the study of play, we need to define play. And well, we didn't manage to do that so far, but here are some points that we took into account. We said that play should be pleasurable to be defined as play, to be voluntary, and it shouldn't have any obvious purpose. When you think of it, you know, because is it play when professional, I don't know, basketball players plays a game? I would say it is, and then there is some purpose. So let's say these are partially correct parts of definition. And also, you can see that definition by these parts would be very, very broad. If only these were conditions for something to be considered as play. The other thing that we are really confused about is what play is. In a sense, is it behavior, or is it personality trait, like playfulness? Somebody is playful, some other person maybe is less playful, not playful at all. Or maybe it's attitude, or maybe just a state of mind. And at one point we are just in this playful state of mind, and then we drop back to the reality. It could be possible. Somehow we have no idea of this. So various authors consider play as a different concept. For some it's a state of mind, for some it's behavior. And we try to make it more clear by seeing what really play includes. For example, a child playing in a sand, or two dogs playing rough together, or maybe this basketball player I already mentioned, or maybe a chess game. And maybe when we dress into costumes and organize some party or something like that, it's also play. So there are so many different activities, even if we say there are only, even if we focus only on activities, there are just too many of them. And basically, it's very hard to find something that we can say, well, this is definitely no play, and that nothing about it can be ever considered as play. And finally, okay, we know something. What we know is that motivation for play is pleasure. So people play because it's a pleasurable activity. But we don't know the function of play. And there have been so far a lot of various suggestions why people and animals play. So maybe the reason for play could be practice of new skills. And somehow it proved not to be really true, because many times both people and animals during the play practice something that will not help them in their grown-up life. If we say that children play to gain skills to use in life. So, but I will come to that later. Generally, play is not, psychologists do not know why people or other species play. But let me show you one quite nice categorization of play. Well, I like it. And it only shows that there are so many different things that play includes. So it's from the Joker, who just makes jokes. He's a funny, silly person. Maybe make pranks or things like that. To more structured and organized play and competitive play, or the games, as you can see it is here, just one of these 8 different huge areas where people can express their playfulness. So, for example, the artist, the creator, would play in a way to create new things, maybe to paint something or to build something, things like that. The explorer will explore both places and ideas and find pleasure in these new things that he finds, not creates like creator, but finds. Competitor, of course, is the one who tries to win, who likes all kinds of competitive games, sports, and other competitive activities. Director is the one who likes the show, who likes to organize the show for other people to present things and similar. And the collector would be a person, it's like a more grown-up kind of play, who collects various things, but you know, collector can also collect photographs or maybe experiences. And so it's also a very huge area of playfulness. Kinesthetic kind of play is a play that involves movement. So you're basically playing with your body. It could be like dancing or just moving around or fighting, playing different sports and similar. And finally, this storyteller is the person who finds satisfaction in telling people stories, adventures, maybe real ones, maybe some legends, maybe something that is completely imagined. It's not that popular nowadays, but it still exists in kind of writing books and making movies and making YouTube clips. It's all actually part of that. Long before there were, I don't know, people around, maybe in every family, who would be a storyteller, and other members would gather around him, and he would have that special gift of telling interesting stories. Okay, but what we really know, both as psychologists and as humans, that we know the play, that something is play once we see it, and I will just show you a few examples. So I don't think that anyone would say, well, I'm not sure, maybe, you know, they are doing something else, it's not play. No, I think that for all those photos and for many activities that are play, we can just look at it yeah, it's play. On the other hand, play can happen in our inside mind, like we have outside mind, and it's not necessarily that people from outside see that we are playing, but very rarely it will happen that somebody misjudges some obvious playful activity. I started to study play about 10 years ago, and yes, I come from bridge society, so bridge is a card game, kind of serious, but still a play. And I first started to study bridge players, and then I started to study play in general, mostly oriented to adult play and not children. I found many problems regarding that. For example, psychology research is almost only focused on children play. We studied that a lot. On the other hand, there is a lot of research regarding sport psychology as independent discipline inside psychology, and quite a popular one. And also in the recent years, and the recent year for me is everything from 2000 on, and so many focus on studying video games, both positive and negative effects of playing those games. But I'm not sure that no, I am sure that there are many other areas of play that should be researched, and that psychology can't cover it all, and that psychologists are really not very into it, so they really don't like to study this play of adults. And well, I'm trying to do my best. I teach psychology of games and play at the university. There is no other similar course in Croatia, I think. And what is really interesting about play, at least for me, that it's something that it has inborn drive, and it's practically universal. In the recent years, there have been studies that showed very clearly that also, I don't know, octopus plays, and that some insects play, and that snakes can play, and they are enjoying that activity. Of course, it can be partially anthropomorphism, but sometimes if you watch that videos, well, I would bet that they enjoy and that they do it to enjoy it. And another thing that one may not be aware of is that play is unique because it allows us to interact with other species in an equal way. You know, I can, and I do sit by my cat and talk to her, but I know that she does not really understand. She really does not. I know that it's very hard, but it's true. On the other hand, if we play, we are completely equal. I know she enjoys it, I know I enjoy it. We are just sharing this activity together. And basically, it's the only thing that the two of us are equal. You know, okay, we sometimes watch TV, but it's boring for me to watch all those birds all the time, and she does not really like what is my favorite TV shows. very briefly what great areas psychology studies inside the play. So one thing is that play would be indicator of cognitive development. It means if child plays in a certain way, he or she is at that phase or at that level of development. If child plays with another child, then he obviously started to socialize, because very small children would play only with objects or with themselves. So, and it's kind of useful information. The other thing is that we see play as a learning tool. That's also quite useful and quite implemented, because we can make some toys or some I don't know, nice materials for children and help them to learn things in more playful method. From the psychoanalytic point of view, play is seen as an escape to imaginary world, where child can be something that he can't be in a real life. So it's just another point of view. Finally, also related to psychoanalysis, there is to psychodynamic theory. Play is sometimes seen as catharsis, in a way that it allows to express emotions that wouldn't be allowed in real world. Human emotions in general are functional. You know, when we feel fear, we don't feel it just to experience another feeling, but to do something about it, to run away. When we feel anger, we feel it also for some reason to fight against this threat. So it's quite known for most of our feelings what are their purposes. They mobilize somehow our body to do certain things, not to be passive but to react to the environment. So it seems that play is reaction to happiness. So when we are feeling really good, when everything is okay, we are usually not just, you know, sitting and doing nothing, but we start to move in a happy manner, like this kinesthetic playfulness I talked earlier. So it's just a reaction that makes us play, and during the play we make better social contacts, we are more attractive to the others, we explore things. So the play is seen as a positive reaction that's derived from happiness. Also, play can be seen as a way to build resources and resilience, in a way that when we play, we are usually communicating with others, and when the bad times come, these others could help us, and also all those happy memories will help us in how should I say? Well, when the bad time comes, the previous playful experience will help us. On a more practical way, psychologists use play as a motivational tool, and here is some simple example. So this is from some call center, so their workers are motivated in this, let's say, bingo game and it seems that it really works, that they will work harder, be more motivated, and also that they will like their work more if there are some kind of play or games into it. Various companies do it in very different ways. This is just one simple example. Also, probably you will know that play is also a team building activity. Actually, all team building activities include some kind of play. It could be physical, it could be mental, whatever. We also see play as addiction, especially if we focus on video games and also gambling. So many research in psychology is done on that aspect of play, although play per se and play of video games, it's not still officially classified as an addiction. That can be addiction. Some psychologists researching creativity, that is part of playfulness, found that it's associated with some kind of pathology. So play can also be seen, sometimes, not of course always, as a symptom of psychopathology. And maybe you've heard or read this book. Some psychologists, this is a transactional analysis, see play as play in everyday life as misplaced way of communication between people. So they are focusing on, let's say, human gaming, they call it, games people play, you know, trying to trick each other, and maybe even subconsciously creating some pranks, maybe to the others. And finally, there is play therapy, and various forms of play. Here is sand play, that just give you a lot of sand, and you play like you're a child, and that can have a therapeutic influence, effect on both children and adults. Actually, all creative plays and things and similar activities can have a very positive effect on one's well-being. So I somehow devoted myself to study of play in the adulthood, and what they say about it is that play in adulthood is childish, that it's silly, that adults should do some more important things than play. They also said that it's really silly that I decided to teach play on the university, because why would I do that when I can teach something else? And also play, generally playing adults is it's not considered that something adults should do, and that's why adults make various excuses and ask for some kind of a license for their play. Let's see. So there are hobbies, there are recreational stuff, there are puzzles and things like that, and we don't say really that we are playing when we are doing such things. You know, when you a part of some kind of ritual, maybe religious, maybe some other kind of ritual. It's basically a play. But we are not considering that a play, because if it's a play, it will be childish and not appropriate. Sometimes we find very good excuse. Like, for example, we make some voluntary charity, some charity action, like we are collecting money for someone, and because of that we will all get naked and jump to the sea during the winter. You know, people really do that. There is no actual correspondence between jumping naked to the lake and raising that money for, let's say, children. But this is so good excuse for adults to play that, yes, it's true. Sometimes they run some marathons also in some funny costumes or something like that. So basically, and charities are not stupid. It's the way to get adults to your thing, to make them, to let them play, to give them this license to play, because we don't have it in our regular lives. We play with children, we play with pets, that's allowed. We also play sometimes as part of our own rituals. For example, our family plays board games for birthdays. Or if we are like less happy, less lucky, then we are playing only for Christmas Eve, once per year. So then it becomes allowed because it's a part of our family tradition, and it's a way to gather family, and we get again these lessons. But there is another problem besides that with study of play in adulthood, and well, you try to search, you know, the internet for adult play, and that's what you get basically. And if you are writing like score into your search box or something, then you get this similar but a little bit more official kind of play. So generally searching for adult play research is not that easy. I'm making a joke, but it still, like, you know, people ask me, what do you study? And I say, adult play. And they say, interesting thing. So here is one short results of one research that I conducted 2 years ago. We made interviews of adults that were actually somehow connected to my students, either their parents or somebody else they knew, because it was made during the regular classes. So adults said that they would love to play more, that they miss playing, that they played during the childhood, and that this play stopped sometime in the late high school or early university, and basically never came back. So those adults were about from 40 to 60, let's say, at that point of time. So they were not, what I'm trying to say, that they were not yet playing, most of them were not yet playing video games in their childhood. When we ask them why they do not play, the most often provided reason was that they do not have time. Some of them said that you know, we have to be serious, we have to do more important things. I worry too much, I can't play, and things like that. Also, unfortunately, they say they don't have the opportunities to play. So they don't have playmates, they don't know with whom they would play, because they say, I would like to play board games, but I don't want to play it on internet, I would like to, you know, play it with friends, but I don't have friends who would play with me. So that's kind of a problem, because I think that many people with such wish exist, and somehow they are not able to communicate and then play together. And when they play, most of them play with children, usually their grandchildren, and they like it, and they say that they enjoy playing sometimes even more than children, and that they, you know, once children leave, then for example, these Lego blocks stay on the floor, and they do not move it immediately, but they play a little bit longer on their own. They also play with pets, and they play, for example, puzzles, both on the internet and Sudoku or crosswords live, but they don't consider that playing. So it's like, I don't know, some kind of amusing activity, but not entertaining activity, but not really playing. They don't think that it's playing. And maybe for the conclusion, I would just like to say that play really changed in the last 50 or so years. We are playing more than we ever did. We are playing in a very different ways. We are scared to let our children play because we are scared they might get addicted to play. That never happened in the human history before. There is a play industry that is one of the leading industries in the world, and if you add sports to that, you are getting the really leading industry. And also there are more and more people who are professional players, not only in sport but also in various types of video games. In practice, many companies include playful designs, game activities and similar things in their work environment. And that's also, well, it's not kind of new, but it's 20 years or so. Started probably with Google, Facebook and companies, and similar companies. And yes, there are so many challenges and so many changes that science is definitely very much behind. Come on, we still did not define play. And I really think that various disciplines should collaborate on this issue, that we can't do it alone. At least psychologists can't do it alone, maybe you can. And I think that one important thing for the well-being of adults around is to let them know that play in adulthood is okay. And that's about it. Thank you.